There's one thing that is driving me incredibly crazy during quarantine, and that is the rubbish quality of nowadays video chats. Come on! It's so frustrating! How dare you tolerate these video conferencing standards as a filmmaker? We can barely see or hear a single thing. Everyone is interrupting each other all the time. There is a severe degradation of artistic and technical expectations. And this is why I said to myself, I have to do something. So I thought, what could I do to make my video way more professional? Well, luckily enough, right before lockdown, I managed to secure some pasta and a mask. But I also managed to secure a quad fiber optical chain with a 500 feet cable drum, 1000 watts of LED lighting, a 17 feet remote control video crane, an ultra compact killer computer setup that I could probably take into space, a few broadcast cameras, and a complete professional broadcast switcher. With all this equipment, I decided to offer my friends and relatives the most cinematic and IMAX level quality of my video stream. Now I can do things like a terrific intro shot with the crane, switch between multiple angles depending on the emotion I want to convey, or remotely color grade the cameras to give a positive or dramatic tone to the image depending on my sayings. I can even record and leave a video loop of me waiting and reacting, so that I can go and do something else when the chat starts to get boring, such as washing dishes, cleaning, reading, or exercising. Creating the best video conferencing experience also means securing my live stream. Just in case my 400 gigabit optical fiber connection breaks, I set up a bonding system where I add various cellular 4G signals from 5 different modems and 3 different antennas. And in the unlikely event of a major emergency, all of this gear is optimized to fit into this backup OB truck, so that I can just run away and continue my video chat. And I'm pretty confident that this makes it one of the most reliable home live streaming setup ever built. Hi, just to be clear, you do not need all that gear to start live streaming, and we are not going to see today how you can build your own monster setup like this, because I am aware that most of the equipment I used here is slightly out of reach for most of you. However, we are still going to see how you could add some sort of epicness to your live streams. And the information I am about to share with you can be useful in 2 situations. For video chats, or as a content creator if you're just looking for a way to improve the quality of your own live streams, on YouTube for instance, but also as a filmmaker, producer, or agency if you're just curious about this field and wonder how you could offer professional live streaming services for, say, conferences, workshops, concerts. We've had a fast-growing demand for live production and live streaming even before the coronavirus outbreak. So, considering the current situation of the video industry, I thought some of you might be interested in learning a few things about multicam and live productions. In this video, we are going to go through 4 different levels of live streaming, from general video tips all the way to building a professional live streaming service to help your community or make a living with paying customers. So let's dive straight into it and start with level 1. Let's start with a few tips that will be useful even if you just have a phone or a computer. Number 1, sound. It's the most important. Bad image with clear sound is always better
than a clear image with bad sound.
You can pick a small room that has enough furniture to avoid that terrible echo you would hear in a larger empty room. If people still complain about your sound, then maybe you should buy a small $40 USB microphone. Number 2. When it comes to image quality, proper lighting is the most important factor. Here is a video chat of my PC webcam. Now look what happens just by improving the lighting using the same webcam. If your camera isn't receiving enough light, it will add noise, and noise literally kills your video quality once it's compressed and sent over the internet. If you don't have any lighting equipment, you can take advantage of natural light during the day. try and shoot close to a window to maximize the light coming in the camera, but not back facing the window or you will have this horrible backlight. Number 3. A wired Ethernet connection is always more reliable than Wi-Fi. Number 4. I suggest you close all of the other applications when going live just to let your computer breathe, because live video takes a lot of processing power and internet bandwidth. And number 5, try and use your phone on a tripod rather than your laptop. Phones often have much better cameras than computers. There are so many forms of live video, from simple video chats to gaming to playing music, conferences, concerts. Honestly, for video chatting, anything further than buying a webcam or a USB microphone is overkill, I think. However, in many other cases, you might need to go a bit further than that. So let's move to level 2. As a filmmaker, you might already own a DSLR or a video camera, so let's see how you can stand out from the crowd by introducing a very simple piece of equipment. The idea is to replace your computer's average webcam by your DSLR. Most DSLR and video cameras today have an HDMI video output, so you want to get that signal from your camera to your computer. So you might just think, can't I just connect that to the HDMI port of my computer? Well, the catch is that computers and smartphones only offer an HDMI output connection and not an input. It's only one way. So you can't just plug your camera directly into your computer. You need to bring in what we call a capture card. It's a device that does exactly that, convert the HDMI signal of your camera into a common computer input such as USB 3, Thunderbolt 3 or PCI Express for desktop computer. If you're looking for something affordable, I've used a good amount of capture cards, and the one I would recommend is the Elgato Camlink. It's a tiny capture card that converts an HDMI signal into a USB 3 signal and costs about $120. Connect the HDMI cable to your camera, plug the other end into the adapter, and then connect that device to your computer. Then whenever you're using video, select this device instead of your webcam in the settings. That way, you can use the video and audio from your high quality camera as a webcam and broadcast directly on Skype, YouTube, Facebook, or from the web interface of your favorite destination platform. Now, let's not forget the sound as well. If you have a lavalier microphone, you can use it and plug it into your camera. The audio will be sent through the same HDMI connection. If you don't have any microphone input on your camera, I'd recommend you just add an external USB sound card to your computer on which you can plug an XLR microphone. That red sound card is the Focusrite Scarlett. I use it every day and I love it. For creatives, I think it's definitely a good investment in the long term. Of course, an alternative and easier way to have proper sound would be to buy a microphone that has a USB connection, such as the Rode NT-USB for instance. But you can find cheaper ones as well. So with this level, we've seen how you can replace your laptop's integrated camera with a more professional camera. Now let's go one step further and see how we can add a second camera. In addition to filming yourself, you might also want to show an additional camera angle of, say, a top view of your hands cooking or drawing, for instance, or even a gaming computer as a second video source. There are two ways you can add a second camera. The first option is by using a capture card that has more than one input. If you have a desktop computer, you can slide one of those Blackmagic Decklink PCI Express cards at the back of your computer. Bear in mind that you will not be able to live stream directly on the YouTube or Facebook web interface like we did at stage 2, because since you have more than one source, you need to do some live video editing before streaming the signal. For this, you will need a live streaming software such as OBS, vMix or Wirecast, which will allow you to switch camera angles, add titles, create layouts, and things like that. You might be familiar with the process of encoding an MP4 video clip and upload it later on YouTube. Well, the big difference is that here the encoding happens in real time. When you're live streaming, your computer is creating an infinite H.264 video file and is sending it to YouTube through a series of packets using what is called the real-time messaging protocol, or RTMP. So when you go create a live video on YouTube, for instance, instead of choosing the webcam tab, you choose the stream tab, and YouTube will give you the unique RTMP stream key and URL that you can copy paste in your live streaming software. In a nutshell, the HDMI video signals from your cameras go into a PCI Express capture card, are processed inside your computer, get all the video effects, and then the final video gets encoded in real time and uploaded to your destination over the internet in small packets. Now there is one major drawback to this option. As you can see, this workflow relies heavily on your computer that has to do both the processing of multiple video sources as well as the effects and the real-time encoding itself. Besides, your computer always runs hundreds of services in the background, so you can quickly run into performance issues and drop frame if you don't have a very powerful machine. Over time, I've built a very powerful workstation, and even with this monster, I tend to run into performance issues with live stream sometimes. A very common issue I have is having to deal with multiple cameras and audio drifting out of sync, and the more inputs you add, the more latency you introduce, and the higher the risk. Also, I've only mentioned desktop computers here, but when it comes to laptops, I find it even harder to feed in multiple video sources, as laptops have even less processing power. Finally, when you're live streaming, you might already be using your main desktop computer for another power-intensive task, such as gaming, for instance. Another more reliable way to do this multi-camera live stream is to use a device that is specifically designed to do this task of switching and encoding, and only this task. There's this little device I really like, it does exactly this. It's called the ATEM Mini Pro from Blackmagic Design. Just as the other products I've mentioned, I've not been paid or sent this product for free. I've purchased it through my company for upcoming projects. And what I really like is that it's a capture card, sound card, switcher, and encoder in a single device. So let's just feed that camera signal over there into that HDMI 1, this top view here in the HDMI 2. We can add a computer input as well on the input 3. We'll add this monitor as well. So let's plug it in there. And now, as you can see, I can switch between the different inputs with zero latency. I can also do crossfades. Also, if I connect it to my home internet router, when I press this on-air button here on the top right, it will start streaming on YouTube, as you can see on the dashboard here. As I am streaming live to YouTube or Facebook, I can connect an external drive here in the USB-C output of the switcher, and then once I have the green light turned on, I can just press the rec button here and it will start recording into the drive. This isn't just a video device, it's also a 6-channel sound mixer, and its sound processing capabilities are excellent. What's absolutely crazy is that if you have a Blackmagic Pocket 4K or 6K camera connected to the device, it will automatically detect the camera, and then you can adjust all of the camera settings such as white balance, aperture, ISO, focus, right from the software remotely. You can even do some primary color correction like adjusting lift, gamma, gain, or things like just contrast or saturation. I do plan to release a complete tutorial on how to use this device. Overall, I find it very reliable, it's fairly easy to use, and it's crazy to see how they have managed to pack so much technology in that little device. When looking at the pricing, both for the Pro and standard version of the ATEM Mini, I have no doubt it will be a massive success. If you get to that stage and as you gain confidence with all these technicalities, you might want to move to step 4, going pro. With the release of the ATEM Mini Pro, we can see that live production systems are becoming more and more affordable. Let's say you want to start to make a living out of your live skills. The main focus up until now has been to improve the production value and sound and image quality of your video to make it more professional than a simple laptop camera. You know how to do a live stream in one given situation. Now, the idea is to offer this same experience to many different customers, which means adapting to different scenarios and many different situations. Sadly, this is probably harder than you think, so to do so, you should focus on two things: reliability and flexibility. Let's begin with reliability. It's very important that you understand the difference between recorded video and live video. With traditional video creation, probably the type you're used to, you can do multiple takes, you can check everything, redo takes, and in the unlikely event your footage gets lost, you could theoretically reschedule a shoot, start everything all over again. It would be extremely embarrassing, but not impossible. On the opposite, live video is often event-based, so you only have one single take. If your stream fails and buffers at an ultra-important moment, if your multicam setup crashes, not only could the memory be gone forever, but all your viewers will talk about the problems in real time in the comments, which your customers will see. So, just as a wedding photographer could get into a lot of trouble if all of his wedding photos get accidentally erased, you have a big responsibility. In worst cases, that could end up in you being sued and you could face legal issues as well. So it's very important to work on the reliability of your live stream and on the service you offer in general, because technical problems can appear very quickly, quicker than you think. Take a look at this typical live streaming workflow. Starting with the cameras, video will run through a cable to a converter, a video switcher, and then to the encoder, the router, and then finally the delivery platform. We must never forget that on each of these components there is a certain risk of failure. What if any of these fail? Well, your live video could either start buffering, go black, lose audio, which is so annoying, making you fall back on your terrible camera audio, and other things that you don't really want to go through. While reliability is highly important, it's not just about reliability. It's also about flexibility, just like any other business. As I mentioned earlier, live video is often event-based, as opposed to a traditional shoot where all the environment adapts to the camera. Here it's the opposite. The camera has to adapt to the environment all the time. There isn't just the camera, there are also hundreds of people around, often paying to attend the event. So your customer might give you limited camera placement possibilities, poor lighting, last-minute changes, a specific dress code for you and your employees, which means you have to learn to be very flexible. And not too flexible neither, because you might end up saying yes to impossible things and facing a situation for which you don't have the proper gear or experience. It's a balance you have to figure out. Now, there are so many more things to say that I would like to share with you in further details, but that video is already 20 minutes long, so I decided to create a complete online live streaming course. I will talk about everything you can do to improve the reliability of your workflow, how to prepare for big projects, pro gear, practical tips, and many more things that can help you grow a live streaming business. If you're interested, follow the link in the description. Other than that, I do plan to continue releasing curiosity videos and tutorials on this channel to keep sharing knowledge for free as much as possible. And I saw that you are now 100,000 talented video makers to follow the ZebraZone channel. It's just the beginning of an incredible ride, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.